All right, welcome back. So next I'm going to show you how to actually get your colors into here and how to make those colors and choose them. So first, it's important to stay organized. So where you have on the right side your layers, you double click on the word layers. You're able to rename it. And I'm going to recommend that you name it your color scheme just to make it easy for you to remember what you're doing. So I'm going to type in split complementary. And then from here, I want to make a new layer on top of this. If I add, and this should automatically happen when I start adding my colors in, but if you notice that it's not, then you're going to want to make blank layers as you go through this. So over on the left side under the toolbar, we're looking for the shape tool, and specifically the rectangle tool. If you don't see the rectangle, you might see other options. So you can just click and hold until you choose the rectangle tool. On the top with our options, the only thing we're going to make sure of is that our color is the color that we want. Okay, so we're going to click on that little color box. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my picture and I'm going to choose a color. You can see the little eyedropper, and that's going to choose a color that's going to pull it from the actual pixels of the image. So you're going to have between 5 to 6 colors down on the bottom that are going to represent the image. The dominant colors, like I said, are orange and green and blue. So I'm going to start with orange. So I'll choose a variation of orange here. You can see when I click on the right side, it's starting to pull up all the different colors that are in the image. So I'm going to start with the orange. Once I choose that color, I'll say OK. And then on the bottom underneath here, I'm going to start to make my rectangles. So to have this nice and even, I'm going to line up the middle of the crosshairs of my cursor on the left side and leave just a little space underneath and on the bottom of this and fit them in. They're going to be closer to a square than a rectangle. And you can see that it shows me my color here. In my layers, it also made a new layer that's a shape 1. My color is here. I can change it later if I need to, and it gives me a preview of what that actually looks like. You can also see that it says vector mask. So a vector, this is a vector shape that we're making. Our image is our pixels. So we're working with both pixels and vectors in this. All right, so now that I have this, I want to make my next color. So I have one of two options. I can either remake this again and line it up and get it close. So I could come in, make my shape again like this. And it makes my new layer. Or, so I'm going to click on that and delete it out. And yep, I'm going to delete that. I also want to delete the whole layer. So I'm going to say yes. Or I can click on my first layer. I can do Control J, and that's going to duplicate the layer, the Control J. And then I would want to rename this. So shape 2. That's just going to keep my layers nice and neat and organized. And then I need to move it and I need to change the color. So this just allows all of my shapes to be the exact same size. So I'm going to click on the move tool. I can arrow it over. So I'm just using the arrow key on my keyboard, or you can move it with the cursor with the move tool and hold shift, and that'll help it stay aligned. So I'll do that. And then I need to choose a new color. So I'm going to double click on here. I'm going to do another variation of that orange, which would be one of these over in this area. So I can choose one that I think is going to fit that color scheme well. And then once I have it, I'll say OK. And then I'm going to do that same thing. Duplicate the layer, Control J, rename it, shape 3. I'm going to move it over. So I'm already on my move tool. I'm going to hold shift and drag it over. I can even arrow it if need be to get that spacing even through all of these. And I'm going to double click. I already have 2 oranges, so now I can go into my green. So over here, you can see it's choosing that nice deep green color. I'll say OK. I'm going to keep going through this process till I have 5 or 6 of the colors. Shape 4. And I'm going to move it to the side by holding shift. It stays aligned. Arrow it over to get nice and even. change the color. Yeah, I'm going to choose one of the lighter greens so they have those tints in there as well. Say OK. I'm going to do Control J again. This is my shape. Oops. Double click on the name, shape 5. Double click on the color. This time I'm going to pull in some of that blue. Oops, you can see that it's overlaid on top of my other one. I still need to move it. So I've got that blue in there. I can move around and get kind of variations of that blue. There's even kind of just a little bit different blue color over here. I like the way that looks with that. And I'll say OK. And then same thing, I need to move it so I can see my other ones. And so I already have 5. So I have one of 2 options. I could continue and add another one in here, or I could kind of stretch these out to fill that area. I think I could pull one more blue color in there, which would be kind of cool. I'm going to do Control J, same thing. I'm going to move that to the side, arrow it over to get that nice little space in there. And then double click to find a variation of blue that I can add in there as well. That one looks good. So I'll say OK. All right, now that I have this, the only thing that doesn't work is it's not evenly spaced on the left and right with my colors. So to get those to align correctly, I'm going to click on the top one on my shape 6. And I'm going to scroll down and hold Shift and click on my bottom one. And you can see that it's highlighted all of those. And then if I do a Control T, it brings up that bounding box just like it did on my photo. And this time I'm going to drag just on the left, and you can see that it's changing the size of all of them at once, which is pretty slick and nice and easy. And I can get it to align on the right side and press Enter. And then you can see on the right side I have all of my swatches, my image, press my background. You can see all my colors work really well in this.